Hi everyone, welcome to AeroHub and welcome back to the series of lectures in airframe structures. In this lecture, we will discuss about what is shear center and elastic axis and what is the effect of shear center in airframe design. As you can see in the figure, this is a rectangular section and this is a neutral axis of the section, and neutral axis is nothing but the axis about which the bending stress is 0, and neutral axis will be passing through the centroid of the section. Centroid is nothing but the point about which the entire area is concentrating for a 2D structure, and for a 3D structure it is nothing but the point about which the entire volume is concentrated. And it is also defined as the point at which the first moment of area is 0, that is integral YdA should be equal to 0. This is also that unique point is called the centroid of the section. And you can see in this figure, in this diagram, this is the bending stress distribution of this rectangular section, and you can see at the neutral axis the bending stress is 0, that is sigma is equal to 0 at the neutral axis. Okay, and when you are going beyond the neutral axis, that is from neutral axis to the upper fiber towards upper fiber and neutral axis towards the lower fiber, the bending stress is getting increased, and at the top fiber the bending stress will be maximum. Okay, at the top fiber we will be having the maximum bending stress, whether it is compressive stress or tensile stress. Now this figure is nothing but the distribution of shear stress. Okay, the distribution of shear stress tau. And you can see that for bending stress at the neutral axis, the value of bending stress is 0. For bending stress at the neutral axis, the value of bending stress is minimum, that is 0. But in the case of shear stress, the bending stress, in the case of shear stress, it is maximum at the neutral axis. So tau max will be at the centroid. Okay, this is the basic difference you have to understand. For any section, the shear stress will be maximum at the centroid and it will be minimum at the top and bottom fiber of the section. In the case of bending stress, the bending stress will be minimum, that is equal to 0 at the neutral axis, and will be maximum at the top fiber and the bottom fiber. Okay, now we will discuss about the shear stress distribution of different sections. You can see an I section, a symmetric I section, as a channel section and a angle section, which is also called L section, and we are applying a shear force V here at a point, and you should aware that you should have a proper understanding that at the centroid, this may be the centroid, we will be having the maximum shear stress and it will be decreasing towards the upper flange, and at the junction of the flange we will be having the maximum shear stress here and it will be decreasing towards the minimum. Okay, and here also we will be having a maximum shear stress and it will be decreasing towards the free edge, and this one will be decreasing on the web, and at the junction of flange and junction we will be having a maximum shear stress and will be decreasing. This will be the shear stress distribution of the I section, and you can see a continuous shear flow is taking place here. Okay, so we will be having the maximum shear stress at the centroid and it is decreasing towards the web. At the junction of web and the flange we will be having the maximum shear stress and it will be decreasing towards the free edge of the upper flange as well as the lower flange. Okay, and here for a channel section, this may be your centroid and you will be having the maximum value of shear stress and will be decreasing towards the upper half of the web, and at the junction of your flange and the web, we will be having the maximum shear stress, and it will be decreasing towards the free edge, and it may be 0 here at the free edge, depends upon your loading condition. At the junction here also you will be having maximum value of shear stress and will be decreasing towards the free edge. Okay, similar for this angle section, this somewhere here will be your centroid. You will be having maximum shear stress at the centroid and decreasing towards the lower flange, and at the junction you will be having maximum, at the junction of flange and the web you will be having maximum shear stress and will be decreasing towards the other half of the flange. Okay, so this is the basic shear stress distribution of standard section. For an I section, we will be having, for an I section, C section, we will be having the maximum value of shear stress at the centroid and will be decreasing towards the upper half of the web and lower half of the web, and will be having the maximum value of shear stress at the junction of web and the flange. Now, the resultant force acting on this part may be F1, this will be F2. Okay, and here also this will be F1, this will be F2. Okay, now you have to understand that since this particular structure is symmetric, I can write that F1 will be equal to F2. That is, F1 minus F2 will be equal to 0. That is, there will be no resultant horizontal force acting on the flanges here. Okay, so there will be no horizontal resultant force acting on the horizontal flanges. That is your upper flange and lower flange. We do not have any resultant force acting on that. Therefore, this entire structure might be in equilibrium. Okay, and in this case, we have, for channel section, we have a force acting here F1, and we'll be having a same amount of force acting F1 here in reverse direction. Okay, now what is happening here means we have F1 acting towards this direction, towards right hand side, F1 acting towards left hand side on the lower web, lower flange. The resultant horizontal force Fr will be 0 for this case, but there will be a couple acting on this section. Okay, what is couple? It is nothing but equal and opposite forces in multiplied by the distance. Okay, so these two forces will be acting at a certain distance, and this can rotate the section. Okay, that is, let the distance between the two flanges may be d. These two equal and opposite forces will create a couple, and this will result in rotation of this entire section. This is not happening for I section because we have F1 and F2 having the same amount of magnitude, and this will be cancelling each other. So there won't be any rotation for this structure since it is symmetric about both axes. Okay, I section is symmetric about both axes. That's why this the rotation is not happening for I section. But in the case of C section, we have only one axis of symmetry, and this two forces, force acting on upper flange and lower flange, will create a couple that can rotate the entire section. So we have to counteract this couple moment. We have to counteract this moment. Therefore, we'll introduce the force in such a way that the couple created, the moment created by the upper and lower flange can be counteracted by the moment created by the force, shear stress acting, the force acting on web. That is, we will apply the shear load in such a way that the moment created by the shear load with respect to web will counteract the moment created by the couple. Once more, we have a couple acting due to upper flange and lower flange forces, and to avoid the rotation of this section, we have to apply the shear load at a distance in such a way that at a distance we have to apply the shear load in such a way that the moment created by the web will counteract the moment created by the upper and lower flanges. Therefore, that section won't rotate. So we have to apply shear force in such a way that the moment created by the web will counteract the moment created by the upper and lower flanges. In this case, the section is unsymmetric. Okay, so we have to provide the load at the junction because the shear stress is traveling at this towards this point, and from this point to the other end of the section. So shear stress is traveling throughout the section. So at the junction, if you are applying the shear force, there won't be twisting. Okay, so we can define shear center as it is a unique point. It is a unique point in the cross section when we are applying a transverse load. The section will be subjected to bending without twisting or rotation. Okay, this is the definition of shear center. It is also defined as the point about which the bending axis is in intersection with the plane of loading. It is also defined as the point at which the bending axis is in intersection with the plane of loading. Okay. Now we have to understand what is the significance of shear center for airframe designs. For example, we have an airfoil. We have an airfoil section. And this is our chord line, and for an airfoil section you are aware about a point called aerodynamic center. It is nothing but a point about which the pitching moment is always a constant. Okay, so you have to understand for every section we will be having a shear center. This may be the shear center. I will put as designate as small letter E. Okay, so through the aerodynamic center there will be a certain amount of moment, and we will be having certain amount of load acting to the aerodynamic center, resultant lift or anything will be acting through the aerodynamic center. And you have to understand that when we are increasing the length between aerodynamic center and shear center, let this be SC. When we increases the length between the aerodynamic center and shear center, there will be large amount of moment acting throughout the section. So when we increase SC, that is the length between aerodynamic center and shear center, there will be large amount of moment acting on the airfoil section. Okay, this is extremely catastrophic for aircraft design, and this may lead to excessive deflection of the structure, and also it can reduce the efficiency, especially aerodynamic efficiency. So we have to design the airfoil in such a way that the distance between aerodynamic center and the shear center should be minimum. Okay, it should be the value of SC should be minimum. And we have one more term which is called elastic axis. Elastic axis. It is nothing but the locus, it is the axis, it is nothing but the axis connecting the locus of shear centers. Okay, so for an aircraft wing, you will be having number of airfoil section throughout the wing, and the wing will be having more number of rib sections. Will be having more number of ribs to provide the aerodynamic shape and to transfer the shear load. We'll be having more number of ribs throughout the wing section, and for each airfoil section we'll be having a shear center and the axis connecting this entire shear center of different section, and this is called the elastic axis, the locus of the axis connecting the locus of shear center is called elastic axis. Okay, so this is about elastic axis. Now we will see the shear centers for standard sections. For I section, which is symmetric about both x and y axis, the section which is symmetric about both x and y axis, the shear center will be always at the centroid. So for section which is symmetric about both x and y axis, the shear center will be always at the centroid. Okay, this shear center, and the section which is symmetric about one axis, for example a channel section is symmetric about one axis, the shear center will be at any point at this axis. Okay, the shear center will be, you can find out the shear center, it will be somewhere in this axis. Mostly it will be outside the section for a channel section, and for L section it will be at the, it is unsymmetric, it will be at the junction of both web and the flange. For T section or a cruciform section, this will be at the junction. This is nothing but combination of two L section. This will be the shear center. And for Z section, it will be at the center of the web. Okay, so these are the standard shear centers for standard section, and we discussed about what is elastic axis, which is nothing but the axis connecting the locus of shear centers, and we also defined what is shear center. It's a unique point where when we are applying a transverse load, section is subjected only to bending, there is no twisting. And we also defined that, we also found out that when we are decreasing the length between the aerodynamic center and shear center, there won't be large moment acting on the airfoil section. So that is the difference, that is the moment arm will be increasing if you are increasing the length between aerodynamic center and shear center. That should be reduced. So that's all about this lecture. Stay tuned for next lecture. Please do share the channel and watch the videos. Thank you so much.